This is the Unstuck movement. Welcome back. I am your host, Rob Z. This platform features true testimonies of breakthrough. And today I have the incredible Omowonuola Alese, also known as the Amazing Soul, on the podcast. And Amazing Soul, I love to dive into these episodes with a question right off the jump, just to get things started with some fire. And the question I have for you is, what was the turning point in your life that led you to confront and embrace your deepest emotions?
That's a great question, Rob. For me, it was realizing that nothing outside of me could transform my life. I did everything logically possible to fix what was going on in my life, with the pain that was taking a toll on my mental and physical health. And the more I kept trying to fix, I was creating more resistance until I just stopped and decided to look at the person in the mirror and realize that I'm not a victim to my pain anymore. And I just sat with it and I really went within myself and realized nothing outside of me can make me whole. Nothing outside of me can transform my life except myself. And that's when I decided to just really sit with my emotions and feelings and, stop the distractions externally. And my life literally transformed.
Oh, you're back. You disappeared. I don't know why. I've never had that happen before. I don't know why that's happening. So interesting. I totally understood what you were saying there, even though the last little part cut off. But I want to dive more into this, right? So this is the Unstuck movement. I created this platform because I wanted to have real life examples to people who have had incredible breakthroughs in their lives, to give examples for people watching and listening that it's possible for them. This platform is created by or sponsored by the Connected Leaders Academy. You can check out connectedleadersacademy.com. Amazing Soul here today is a mindset coach and storyteller who overcame years of repressed emotions and trauma by embracing self-acceptance. Now she inspires others to unlock peace, purpose, and joy in their lives. So you mentioned going deep within yourself. That can mean a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people. What does that practically look like for you when you went deep within yourself? What did you do and what happened?
That's a great question. So, like I said earlier on, I looked into the mirror, but most importantly, there were parts of myself I was pushing away for a very long time. I didn't want to look at. There was actually a point in my life where I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. So as a teenager, I was bullied a lot about how I looked, because I never fit in. And that took a toll on me in terms of those memories were stored in my subconscious and they kept replaying in my head for years. And I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, so I did everything to look like what society told me to look like. And the more I kept doing that, it really created resistance. So what happened was, when I medically retired from the military and I realized my pain was still there of 20 years, I did something that I was very scared to do, but it happened. So I canceled all my doctor's appointments. I trashed my medications in the garbage, and I sat with myself. I sat with my feelings and emotion, no distractions, for 1 week. I mean, I really embraced all parts of myself, started to love all parts of myself unconditionally. I started to acknowledge my feelings and emotions, and I give space for them. I give myself kindness, compassion, that it's okay to feel the way I'm feeling. And the more I started to hold space for my feelings and emotion and really sit with them, it was easier, because emotions are energy in motion, right? It was easier for those stuck emotions to like flow through my body and kind of transform from there. And that's how pain of 20 years stopped in 1 week, by doing something as simple as sitting with myself. But yeah.
Incredible. So let's go into that, because that's really interesting. Sitting with yourself for 1 week. And I'm very familiar with meditation and, just kind of letting thoughts come and letting thoughts go. But when you actually sit with yourself for 1 week, what was that week like? Is it you sitting in your house or your apartment, like just by yourself on the couch? Are you fasting, or are you just kind of like, how are you spending that week sitting with yourself?
That's a good question. So when I started off this journey of just, like I said earlier, just trashing my medication and canceling my doctor's appointment because I was tired of repeating the same thing. I didn't know it was going to last a week, but I knew that I had to sit with myself. I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I had to go all in with this. So during that week, what happened was I will take 30 minutes to an hour, and I would just sit with myself because I also, before then, I used to use food as a distraction, so that I don't feel my feelings. And I realized it was an automatic behavior, and I was creating more resistance, and the pain wasn't going anywhere because I was distracting myself. So what I did was, once the pain became overwhelming, because it's a new process that I'm doing to my brain. So my brain is like, what are you doing? And it's trying to resist the pain, right? As opposed to going back to food as a distraction. During that 1 week, I would either do push-ups, take a walk in the grass, and come back again to feel my feelings and emotion. And the more I did that, the resistance or the hold or the charge that the emotions had on me was letting loose of itself, because that was the first time in 32 years of my life that I literally sat down with it and acknowledged that it existed. And I did that consistently.
Somehow she keeps getting kicked off the show. Somehow you keep getting thrown off. I don't know why, but I'll keep bringing you back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I realized that the charge that started off in day one wasn't as overwhelming on day seven. And I was literally blown out of my mind. I was like, wow, it just took me sitting 30 minutes to an hour, but breaking it in between to doing the stuff that I told you about, for my pain to dissipate. And I will tell you this though, it was very challenging, but I also did something with my mind, and I will just kind of shorten it here. So while I was sitting down, because my logical brain wants to step away from the pain, what I was doing was because I had lower back excruciating pain, I concentrated my emotion or my attention to my lower back. While I was doing that, I told my mind something: feel everything and relax. That is my definition of fear. So I was telling my mind, taking deep intentional breath, feel everything and relax. So I was commanding my mind, or I was telling my mind what to do just to relax into the emotion. And the more I did that, it was easier for those emotions to move. But
Mhm.
that's essentially what I did for a week. And on day seven, it wasn't as excruciating as it was on day one.
Incredible. So, did you eat throughout this period? You said you had like an emotional connection to food. Did you eat at any point throughout the 7 days?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like a fasting, or it was just like I said, I would just take 30 minutes to an hour,
Gotcha.
and I'll continue like my regular day. Then the next day again, do it again, 30 minutes to an hour. So but it was 7 days consecutively doing that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you said you were in the military before this. What were you doing in the military?
Yeah, I was a human resource specialist, HR, just in charge of taking care of soldiers.
Cool. Well, thank you for your service of doing that, for being a part of the military and serving. And I guess, you know as we go about our lives and we get stuck in a bunch of different areas of our lives, those things kind of build up and add up, right? So you said like 32 years of never sitting down and addressing these things, working through these things, processing these things led to a lot of build up inside of you, right? So you're like tormented by all of these things that you've kind of ignored. After those 7 days, how long ago was this? And how have you been living your life since that?
This happened last year in November. That's actually why my book came about, because I shared my story on there, and it inspired me to write a book. So this happened last year, November. And after then, I started to realize the power of sitting with your feelings and emotion. I have been down that rabbit hole of, coaches and telling you that you need to focus on just the good things, or you need something externally to fix your life. I just wanted something simple. And I didn't realize that my pain was the key to making me realize how simple it is to transform your life. And ever since then, it just shifted my perspective and started to see that life can really be simple, but we've been conditioned as a society to complicate the heck out of things. And I'm like, it just needed me to sit with myself and really love all parts of myself for my life to transform. So I start to respond, I don't react. And that's how my life has been since after, having that experience, because I share tools on how, whenever, I'm not saying life is not going to happen anymore, because it does, but now I have the tools in my mind to respond and realize that this thing that life is showing for me is teaching me something about myself. I just need to pay attention, slow down, and see what this is teaching me. Because if I don't, it's going to keep repeating itself over and over and over and over again in different patterns till I realize what it's teaching me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good way of looking at it. Everything in life is a blessing depending on how you look at it. So everything in life is an opportunity for you to grow, because like you said, the things that come up that are like problems or something that we have to deal with over and over and over again, it's like, hey, you haven't learned this lesson yet. You haven't gotten through this thing yet. And here it is again. It might look the same or it might look completely different, but it's the same kind of stuff. So it's kind of funny. For me, if I could just, it's the simple things in life too, like getting agitated at your dog, right? So my wife and I, we have a dog, and we have a newborn son. I have a 10-year-old son, but also we have our dog. And like, he'll just do things that annoy me. And I know I don't need to be annoyed by them. Like, it's like, I don't need to be annoyed by this, but I'm annoyed by it. And it's this reminder of like this agitation, like you're saying, there's an agitation that needs to be let go of. And if I ignore it or try to push it away, I believe God's going to keep bringing in opportunities for me to have that breakthrough.
Yeah.
If I do not pay attention to the warning signals, they're going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like, oh crap, it's now do or die. Not like in the beginning, it's like, you can deal with this if you want to. If you don't, it's okay. Eventually, it's like you're going to deal with this, or something horrible is going to happen, right? Is that the place that you got to, like where you were at a place of like, if I don't deal with this now, something is going to break?
That's a great question. For me, yes, and also that pain, because it was pent up for so long, it forced me to surrender to the unknown, surrender that I don't even know what I'm doing. Hence the reason, the title for the book, The Truth Is I Don't Know.
Mm.
And the moment I really surrender and let go of that logical brain of trying to fix everything and know what the next step is, I, life just, I said flowing with life and just being here and now, just being present. Like, I don't want to know what's going to happen 5 years from now or hold on to what happened yesterday. I'm just here. I'm just here in this moment. Whatever comes, I have the tools now to respond. Just respond from here and now. But that's essentially how I've been navigating life, and with that mindset.
I love that. And your book is called, yeah, The Truth Is I Don't Know, Fun Ways to Make Your Life Less Complicated. And I love that title. And life was created to be simple, right? That the greatest things in life are simple, and we tend to complicate life. And I've noticed for myself, the more complicated I make things, I'm either like procrastinating, or I'm keeping myself from some sort of simple truth that I need to embrace, right? So sometimes it seems like we'll complicate life on purpose just to make it more difficult, when it can be very simple. And I think that's a huge piece of this. And I want to touch on this, right? Because you said about the medications that
Mhm.
you took yourself off of. How many medications were you on before all this?
It's a lot. Well, if you're in the military, you kind of know that, I used to go to doctor's appointment a lot for like over a year. And every time I went, I always had refills, and I'll tell the doctor, like, this one is not working. They're like, okay, we're gonna prescribe another one to you. So it was a bunch
Yeah.
of medications.
And see, that's the interesting thing, right? Like, this is the complicated part. We look at like, oh, and this is, you see like pharmaceutical ads, and it's like, well, here's this medication, and also here's this medication to go along with this medication to offset the adverse side effects of that medication. And it's like bonkers. So like now you're piling medications on medications, and then they tell you like sometimes you can't just get off this medication. You have to wean off of it over a year or two. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is nuts. And so I imagine when you found yourself, how many were you in that place for years of like balancing medications? That was kind of like a part of your life.
Probably like 2 years. So it was till end of my career. Yeah. So I was on medications for like 2 years back to back.
And what was that making you feel like?
Um, it took a huge toll on my mental health. I was very reactive. I was very defensive. Yeah, just think of any extreme side effect of any painkiller you can think of on the market that I was given. Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
good. Not good. And I've been there too. I dealt with addiction issues throughout my life, painkiller addictions at one point in time in my life, and it is an empty pit of
Yeah.
it's like torture because it never gets better, and you think it's like, oh, this will fix it, and no, it's none of it ever fixes itself. The only way to fix it is to get rid of it. So we have to jump into a 60-second shout out to the sponsor of the podcast. When we come back, I want to know, because this is huge. This whole medication thing is huge because people stay on medications their entire life, and they base their life on balancing out their medications. You just gave them up.
Yeah.
So I want to know what physically happened to you when you gave them up, and how you handled that during the 7-day process. I want to talk about that in 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So, Amazing Soul, tell me about this, right? You were on these medications for 2 years. You decide one day you're going to spend these 7 days finding these breakthroughs for yourself, and you put down medications. You just literally put them down? You were like, I'm done, throw them in the trash?
Yeah, I
How
just
did that work?
literally, out of frustration, I just literally threw them in the trash. When you get to your tipping point, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna trash all this and just see what my body does. You don't have it anymore. What are you gonna do?
And what did it do?
Yeah, that's essentially what happened. And obviously, because your brain is used to that dopamine of getting those things from the drugs, it's searching for. There was that voice. I'm not gonna come here. There was that voice when I started this journey of trashing everything. We need to get this painkillers. I needed to go to the VA for them to prescribe those medications for me. But I said no, because I at that point in my life, I started to realize that your thoughts are just your thoughts. The moment you focus your attention on them, they expand in your reality. So I was very fortunate that I was in a mind space where I started to realize that I was simply an observer of my thought, and I said no, and I was like, I'm going to sit with this. Whatever wants to happen, let it. I will tell you this though. At that point, I literally thought I was physically gonna die. The pain was really excruciating. Because now the body did not have anything to suppress it anymore, right? And it's like, what are we gonna do? Like that fight or flight mode. But I really allowed my body to feel everything that I've been suppressing for 30 years. But yeah, I don't know. And from then on, my body just kind of gave in.
how did you function throughout that week, right? When your body's freaking out like that and like all these alarm signals are going off. I mean, most people they'll do anything to make that stop because it's too much to handle, right? And you sat through that and let your body feel all those things. So I think anybody listening to this who's really struggling in that area needs to hear a real practical, tangible way of you sitting through those things. What was that process like? Because you said about your acronym, right? What was the acronym for fear that you gave?
Feel everything and relax.
Okay. So
Yeah.
go into that a little bit as you were going through that place.
So I think the very first step is for anyone who is struggling to, transform their life. I think the very first step is to shift your perception on how you view what is going on in your life or in your body, right? The first step is perception. Once you can shift how you see the things you look at will change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the pain, it's not the medication. It was, in my mind, the intention was, I already shifted my mindset on how I saw the pain. I already shifted my mindset on how I saw the medication. So the moment my intention on how I perceive myself, every other thing had to follow. So this is me saying to you, if you're struggling with pain or whatever it is, addiction, realize that the addiction is not stronger than you. You just have to shift your perception on how you view what is going on in your life. And once that perception shift happens, everything from, you transforming your life has to follow, because without your focused attention on things, nothing ultimately exists. So once you come back to that perception, that's a game changer. At least that's what happened to me. That's a game changer of the multiple effect on, your pain transforming and everything.
What was the new perception that you had?
I'm simply an observer of my thoughts, and my pain is just my pain, and I just have to watch it. And the more I try to suppress it, it gets bigger. The more I
And she disappeared again, but she'll be back here in 1 second. You're
yeah,
back.
just simply watch myself, and without trying to do anything. It's like you going to a cinema, right? And you're shooting in the movie, right? You know very well that the person shooting in the movie theater is not going to come out and shoot you. You're just
Yeah.
watching a movie, right? So that's essentially what I did. I took that backstage and I'm just watching myself, watching the drama, watching the chaos, watching my mind go like this, and watching my body be like, oh my God, I can't do this. I just watch it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that really is. It really is very possible, and I think for a lot of people, that seems with their busy day, and maybe they have kids, they have a full time job, they got all these things they got to balance. So how do I stop and slow down to be able to actually do this? Because there's so much happening in my life. It feels I do leadership coaching for individuals and for companies, and I hear this from people like they're on a hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
They can't slow down. They're like, I can't slow down. This is here. This is piling up. And it's like if you I always like to frame it like I got to where I am right now. There's many times in my life where I thought I wasn't gonna like get past a certain thing, and I got past it, and everything's good. Things are actually great, right? Same for you, right? There's probably many times you thought like I was never gonna get through this thing, but here you are, and you're great. As I say to other people, if you're going through something even right now, like, but you're still here, like you still have another day. You're not done. You're here. It's not as bad as you think it is. And that's easy to say, hard to do, right? Unless you're really going through something.
Mm.
But to actually put the work in is the real big piece to that puzzle. And you put that work in through what you were doing.
Yeah, I will add this though. For anyone who's on a hamster wheel and feels like there's so many things going on and you can't possibly have time to do what I did, right? For 3 years, I read a bunch of books on neuroscience, spirituality, whatever. I was very big on the mind. I really wanted to understand how the mind works. I kind of like merge it to my life. So I did a bit of an experiment on myself, and this is what I teach. I kind of compress in the 90 days I told you about earlier on. So if you feel like you're very busy, right? Approach the mind in a fun way. The mind is not here to keep you happy, it's here to keep you safe. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to know how your brain works, right? So you're like, you know what? I cannot transform my life. So I tell people to start small. So there's something called neuroplasticity, how neurons fire and wire in your brain. And it takes an average of 66 days for a new neural pathway to be created in your brain. So how does that happen? Start to shift your routine just a tad bit. It's so much fun. This is something I teach. It's something that I do in my life. I've truly transformed my life. So let's just say you sleep on the right side of your bed, right? You sleep on the left side of your bed. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, brush your teeth with your left hand. If you take the same route to work, take a different route to work. If you go to Starbucks, take another. If you're drinking Starbucks, try another flavor of Starbucks coffee. I mean, consciously doing those small things, your subconscious mind is taking that in. Like, okay, we're kind of breaking out of it. It's not overwhelming. It is fun. You're not doing anything humongous. And the more you keep doing that, I know it sounds very little, but it works. The more you keep doing that, it is fun. It is simple. It's easier for your subconscious mind or your mind to bring in new experiences into your life, because now you're not going out of your way to do something, and it's very simple. You're not doing anything extraordinary, but that's one of the things that I teach, that once
Hmm.
you approach the mind with fun, limiting belief system is easier for your mind to let go of this limiting belief system.
Yeah, I love that. It's really true. There's, and like you said, super simple things. One of the most simple things. This is one for me. I usually, if I sit and cross my fingers, it's usually like this. So for the past couple of years, I literally just switch it to that. Like it's this simple. Like this is normal for me. This is abnormal. And so
Mm,
now that abnormal is like, oh wow, now I do that normally. I changed my underwear in my sock drawer.
yes,
Like,
yes.
it's those little things. And like something that I tell people to do too that really is helpful is people who have trouble working out, like I don't have time to exercise. Listen, this is the best. When I have, like, say I'm making some coffee, I'll just drop and do 25 push-ups or do 25 squats.
Yeah,
Like, you can get that done in 30 seconds.
yeah,
And now you're exercise. If you can find those little spaces all throughout your day, you can transform everything. And you're like,
yeah,
you went from somebody who didn't have time to work out to now you're working out all day long because
yeah,
you find those little spots, right?
yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible how it's so, like, we going back to the beginning, like you said, it's simple. Like,
Yeah.
the best things in life are very simple to do, but they take that mindset shift because it's abnormal. It's abnormal to all of a sudden do a bunch of push-ups. It's abnormal to drive a different way to work. Like, why the heck would you be doing this? Because you're rewiring.
Yes, yes.
So how did your what are some of the things that you changed? I want to ask that. What are some of the things that you decided, I'm going to change these things in my life and do these differently? What did you go with?
So that's a great question. So because I started to realize the fun aspect of approaching the mind, I started to, shift things around. So when I go to the grocery store, like I said earlier, and I'll take a different route. If I have a particular grocery store I go to, I park in a different space. Now, the mind is like, why are you parking so far off? Why, if I go to Walmart, why can't I just park by the? It's so easier. But I know that is retraining or rewiring my brain, like you said. Things like, well, this is a bit extreme, but I will share it. Things like I have a Walmart not far from my apartment, right? When I go to that Walmart, I don't lock my car. Yeah, so what is building trust. I know it's I love being in the unknown, because most of us, when we lock our cars, if you really peel back, the reason for that is based on fear, security, someone's going to hijack me. But the more I've been doing that, right, I've been to that Walmart like a million times, right. I'm not doing it for the environment. I'm doing it for myself, to build trust within myself, my body and my mind. But I do that. I buy different, what's the word, I buy when I go to the grocery store, I challenge myself to buy something else. So as opposed
Mm.
to buying the same thing that I buy, I switch up my stuff. I switch up my routine. I do stuff like, so every day I challenge myself to do one uncomfortable thing. It can be as little as I move my bed space around. So if my bed is facing this way, the window, after a few months I change it again. When I in my kitchen, I move my stuff around, and the more I'm moving those stuff around, even in my bathroom, I move things around because my mind is always on autopilot, right? And the more I move things around, it forces it to be present. And because my mind is wired to keep me safe, it's like, oh, we gotta keep her safe. So where did she keep it this time around? And it's also fun. But those are the things that I do to just really build trust between my mind and my body. And it's really helped me a whole lot because I've been doing this consciously for over a year now. And it's like, even if I leave my car open, like I close it, but I don't lock it, it's like I'm gonna be fine. But yeah, it's just
Yeah. And hey, if your car gets stolen, there's a new experience.
so that's that. So I open myself to that possibility. That if it happens, you know what? I'm gonna take responsibility for that because I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and true, it's also like the new experiences that open up to you in life when you decide to do things differently. Like you're saying about taking a different route to work or going to a different place to shop or whatever that might be. Like you're going to run into different people, you're going to run into new situations, and it's going to be opportunities for you to show up differently.
Yes.
I love that. That's really good. Even, you know, I take my dog for a walk every day, and he always wants to go on the same walk. And it's just like me wanting to do the same things over and over again. So when I take him on a new walk, he's super stoked. He's like really excited. Like, oh, wow, these are all new smells. I've never been here before. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like us. But we live in this perpetual state of nobody's going to force me to do anything differently. I
Right.
need to do it myself, and I need to be self-aware. It's the beauty of how we've been created. Like we were created to be creative. And so many times in life, our creativity gets either beaten out of us or it gets forced out of us, or it just we give over our creativity for safety and comfort.
Right.
Right. But if you want to really experience life in a better way or a new way, you've got to get creative.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing too, like changing up the way things are, fires that creativity inside of us of like, and also you're getting creative just doing things differently. Now your life's more creative. So, okay, you've done all these things to change this rewiring and to reset these things. How have you personally evolved over the past year from doing all this?
That's a great question, Rob. So, I'm able to pay more attention. I can't really logically explain it to you, but there's something different that's happened to my awareness. I can pick up the very subtle things. So when I'm driving, before I just drive, right? But now my awareness is picking up the trees, the sky, like just like the butterfly that just flew past my car. And just that awareness of the very little things that most of us just ignore, and I just appreciate that awareness of the very, very subtle things. Now my attention is not just on, it's not laser, it's not tunnel vision, it's like really wide now. I can feel it, I can see it. I'm just like, I never saw that before, but now because I'm slowing down, now it's easier for me to really see and just become aware of myself.
Yeah. So have new opportunities open up? I mean, obviously you stepped into, I think probably who you were created to be, right? To be able to be who you are right now, to do what you're doing, to be helping other people. Like, was this something that you had in mind before you made all these changes a year ago and you couldn't quite get to? Or is this something brand new that kind of like blossomed in your life from doing all of this?
I didn't even have an idea this was going to be my life. Like, I didn't do the intention for me sitting with myself last year wasn't, oh, because I was trying to, I just did it because I didn't have any other option. And once I did that, I realized that on the other side of pain was freedom. I realized that I could speak, I could mentor people. I love putting stuff on social. Like, I didn't even know that was possible for me. Yeah, it just came up. But yeah, I
I
didn't
love
build
that.
a plan.
Well, good for you. It's very cool. And it's just an example of like how things can be done differently, and we don't have to do life the same way that everybody does life. And when you see people struggling, they're not tapping into that potential, the creative part of us that we were given, that we're able to do this life however we want, and you don't have to follow like just the medications. I think is a really good example of what you're talking about, of like, I don't have to do these certain things to feel this certain way. I don't, and anybody who takes medications, I mean, they can work and they can work for a time, but ultimately most people don't actually need them. Some, it's arguable. Some people, they do need them. Some people really do need certain things. And I think there's a great balance of holistic medicines and also spiritual. If you combine the spiritual with medications, with like therapy and things like that, you're going to find a breakthrough, and eventually those medications are going to drop off because you've found those breakthroughs in your life. But I think that's a case by case kind of thing. We all experience our own journey going through that stuff. But this is a really cool conversation. I'm really glad we got a chance to chat, because I love what you're doing. And I love the fact that you found these ways of doing these things for yourself in your life. If they want to find out about what you do, and I guess like get in contact with you, they can go to theamazingsoul.com is your website. And there you do like a one-on-one 90-day mentorship that people can take part in, right?
Yes. So I do offer 90-day mentorship programs that people can take advantage of. It's just me showing you that you already have all the answers. I don't really tag myself as a coach. I'm just here being a guide to you, to make you, look back into yourself and just and give you tools to just awaken what's already been there, and just make you realize that life can be fun and simple. But it's for 90 days if you want to have fun, to let go of your limiting belief systems.
Cool. I love it. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
Yes, there's this beautiful quote that, I love to share with you. Nothing can make you happy until nothing can make you happy. Once you start to realize that nothing outside of you can really give you happiness, happiness is within yourself, you will start to really experience happiness in the present moment.
Wow. Nothing can make you happy until nothing can make you happy. That's one to sit with.
Yeah.
That's a quote to sit with. I love that. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your amazing tool. Yeah. Glad that you were here today. This has been a true testimony of breakthrough. This is the Unstuck movement.